What if I tell you seeing is not as simple as opening your eyes? What if vision itself is a kind of geometry? Welcome to Nerdjacker's Vault. Today we're stepping into the optics by Greek geomater Euclid, and it begins somewhere unexpected. Not with light, not with color, but with lines. Invisible lines extending outward from the eye into the world. Anything touched by those lines becomes visible. Anything outside them disappears. Not because it ceases to exist, but because your sight no longer reaches it. And from there, the ordinary world starts becoming strange. Euclid says vision forms a cone. Your eye sits at the tip. Everything you can see spreads outward from it. And suddenly, familiar experiences begin making sense in a completely different way. Why distant things look smaller? Why roads seem to narrow into the horizon? Why nearby objects appear sharper than distant ones? The world itself does not change. Your angle of seeing does. A nearby object appears clearer because more visual lines reach it. A distant object is touched by fewer. And eventually, the gaps between those lines grow so wide that an object slips through them entirely. Not gone, just unseen. Then Euclid introduces something even stranger. Nothing, he says, is ever seen completely all at once. At first, that sounds absurd. Of course you see things whole, a tree, a face, a building. But Euclid slows the process down. Your eye rapidly moves across what it sees, filling tiny gaps so quickly that the object appears complete. What feels immediate is actually assembled, piece by piece. And suddenly seeing stops feeling passive. It becomes a reconstruction. From there, ordinary experiences become geometric problems. Equal objects appear unequal depending on distance. A rectangle far away begins to look round because its corners fade from sight. Flat surfaces seem to rise or sink depending on where your eye stands. Parallel lines appear to lean toward one another in the distance, and once you notice it, you start seeing perspective everywhere, not just in paintings, in reality itself. Then the text turns practical. Can vision measure the world? Euclid thinks it can. How tall is a tower? Measure its shadow. No sunlight? Use a mirror. How deep is a well? Use proportion. And suddenly geometry stops feeling abstract. It becomes a tool for reaching things you cannot directly touch. That's one of the most fascinating ideas of the book. The world becomes understandable through relationships. Not by grabbing things directly, but through angles, reflections, and proportions. A shadow becomes information. A reflection becomes measurement. And slowly, a larger idea begins to emerge. What we see is not reality itself. It is reality filtered through position. Move your eye, and the world transforms. A sphere viewed with one eye reveals less than half of itself. Move closer, and something strange happens. You actually see less of the sphere, but it appears larger. That contradiction keeps returning. Sometimes what fills your vision reveals less of the whole. The same happens with cylinders, cones, and circles. A wheel can appear perfectly round from one position and distorted from another. Nothing about the object changes. Only perspective does. And Euclid pushes this even further. There are places where unequal things appear equal. Places where equal things appear unequal. A larger object can seem smaller than a distant one. Motion itself becomes unstable. Two objects moving at the same speed may appear to move differently depending on distance. A stationary object can seem to drift backward if everything around it moves. And suddenly, the text stops feeling like ancient geometry. It starts feeling almost psychological, because Euclid keeps separating what is true from what merely appears true, and he never treats illusion as meaningless. The eye can be deceived, but not randomly. There are rules beneath perception. Structure beneath appearance. And through all of this, Euclid keeps returning to one simple idea. The world you see depends on where you stand, literally. At first that sounds obvious, but the deeper the text goes, the stranger it becomes, because now knowledge itself starts feeling positional, partial, dependent on perspective. You never fully escape viewpoint, you only learn how it behaves. And maybe that's why this text still feels alive. Not because it perfectly explains vision, Modern science would go far beyond it, but because it recognized something fundamental very early. Perception is not simple. That seeing is active, constructed, mathematical. And once you begin thinking that way, ordinary things stop feeling ordinary. A road disappearing into the distance, a shadow stretching across the ground, a building towering above you. None of them look quite the same anymore, because geometry is no longer trapped inside diagrams. It's happening constantly, around you, inside your own vision. And maybe that's the real achievement of this book. It takes something so familiar that you stop noticing it and makes it strange again. Not by replacing the world, but by teaching you how to look at it. That's all for today. Please subscribe for more contents like this. For the full audiobook, please check the link in the description.